It's back to the beaches of South Florida as the battle continues. We get you set for Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final between the Oilers and the Panthers on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream, a pregame show. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the pregame show here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Tom Gazzola, Jolene Latimer from The Score, Hernan Salas with you live on location at Boston Pizza Westgate. We haven't been here in forever, it feels like. Good to be back, seeing Curtis, Tony, Char, and the crew here. Lots of nasties already in tow. You got Grumpy Cat, VR Montenegro, Combine crew is here, Fergie's Prostate, Savage, and then Rob from the Grove. So YouTube Trev is here. Norm is here, and he's not in a combine right now. Sticky Rice is here, and we got Frank as well. Yeah, it's parked outside. It's going to be a lot of fun here at BP Westgate, and talking to Tony, sounds like it's going to be a full house.
Oh yeah,
we're going to have a good time. Jolene, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. My very first pregame appearance. I've never been here for pregame.
Are you nervous? No,
I'm excited. I'm excited.
I know you're excited.
I'm flattered to be here.
It's going to be awesome. You're going to be with us for the entirety of the show. Matt Kassian will be stopping by in about 10 to 15 minutes. We've got Coob producing back at EST Global HQ, so a big thumbs up to Coob for helping us out. Of course, you can text us 780-218-9999. Get to the nasty chat as well. Of course, GCL Diesel, providers of the best diesel engine components around, from turbochargers to ejectors, fuel pumps to sensors. They are the critical engine component experts, proud to serve Edmonton and Northern Alberta for over 50 years. All right, Jolene, before we dive into the Panthers, what are your impressions of this Stanley Cup Final so far?
Oh my gosh, absolute cinema. I can't believe the hockey.
Like
I can't believe I stole that. I stole it from Sarah Siv, so you have to go read her Substack. But that's what she said, and I have to quote her. It is so entertaining. I cannot believe the level of hockey that we're watching. Yeah. When that game went into double overtime, I was shocked. I mean, not shocked because the level is so high, but I think everybody I was sitting with in the press box, we all looked at each other like, is this actually happening? Like, this hockey is so good. I feel like we're watching one of the best series I've seen in a long time.
How would you compare it to last year's Cup Final?
I think that the Oilers have improved, to be honest, and maybe even the Panthers too. So now it's just down to the fine details. Yeah. Last year's Cup Final was so entertaining because of the drama of what happened, the Oilers going down and then coming back. That's what made it incredible to watch. This is different. This is entertaining because it's two teams at their best, at their healthiest. Like, we were just watching elite hockey right now.
I like that. I like that very much, and I love elite hockey. Mancito.
Yes.
How are we doing today, senor?
Good. You're right. It has been a long time since we've been here, and it feels like a long time since we've seen a game.
Yeah,
because we got the weekend off, right?
Yeah.
And we were both on post game on Friday, and fans are emotional right after, and there was a lot of panic, but we knew this wasn't going to be easy. It's going to be an absolute war, and like Jolene alluded to, the first game was amazing. Second game outdid it. What do we expect tonight? Probably more of the same, right? So it's going to be great. I can't wait to watch this game. And with Joaquin earlier, we were saying predictions. We didn't go there because we don't know. Both teams are playing so well right now. It can go either way. So it's going to be another beauty tonight.
Okay, Jolene, let's shift the focus to the Florida Panthers. And you've been covering both teams. Obviously, a neutral party, as we like to say.
I am.
What is your sense? Yeah, what's your sense of the Panthers and what they've been able to accomplish so far through 2 games?
Well, what I think is really interesting is that the series is tied heading into Game 3, and a lot of people, like myself, before I even looked into this, might think, oh, it's evened now. We're kind of back to 0. All things are equal, but actually, tying it coming into Game 3, the team who wins Game 3 statistically goes on to win the Stanley Cup.
Oh, so it's important.
It is an important game, shockingly, very important. And actually, so in the Stanley Cup Final, when teams are tied and then they win Game 3, the team that wins by a record of 23-7. So it's very heavily favored in the Stanley Cup Final. Yeah, in just a normal playoff series, the team that wins Game 3 will win 66% of the time. Okay. So it's a big game. I think Florida is interesting because technically they're a better road team.
Yes.
They're not so good at home in the playoffs right now. They're actually 4-3 in 7 games at home in the playoffs, 9-3 in 12 road games in the playoffs. So it should be interesting. Going back to Florida, you would think obviously it's home ice advantage, but they haven't really been using the home ice to their advantage. So I think that coming into this game, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out for them.
6-1, the Oilers are in their last 7 road games, right? Like they've been really good.
Yeah, 6-3 on the road total.
Yeah, because the first 2 games in LA, right? You cancel those out. So they've been a really good team. It is interesting that Florida struggles a bit more at home. I don't know what to make of it. I still think this is going to be a split heading back to Game 5. So it's going to be interesting to see. That crowd. People today were trying to compare it to Edmonton. You're never going to compare the two, right? Like it's a complete different animal. But the people in the barn get that place rocking. Kachuk and Bennett are going to be up to their old tricks, getting that crowd jacked up. So I'm expecting a fast start from Florida, but we'll see, man. We've been saying it all playoffs. Doesn't matter if the Oilers are up 1-0, down 1-0. They're always in the game, and I'm not too worried about that. They have to weather the storm, I think, the first 10 minutes, and then they'll settle in.
Well, I think the interesting thing for Florida, not only are they a worse team record-wise at home, but their power play is a lot worse at home. So their power play is 3.6% at home right now. That's 1 for 28. And on the road, it's obviously 41.2%. So power play could easily be a deciding factor in this game and in this series for sure. And I think I don't know what it is about Florida being at home. They haven't been able to generate that. So that will be interesting to watch them kind of take on that challenge and see what tweaks they can make.
They've been able to get to Edmonton with the power play in Edmonton.
Yeah.
We know how the Oilers have struggled on the penalty kill this entire postseason. 14th in the league out of 16 playoff teams at 66%. They've leaked one every game. The Oilers have, looking at it from their point of view. If Florida is to turn it around on the power play at home, what will be key in your opinion, Joe?
Oh gosh, I think they need to get, I think for Florida, the biggest struggle that they are having is getting their top guys scoring.
Right.
That's obvious.
Like Bennett?
An obvious one. So, they don't know why. They literally, if you, like Paul Maurice has literally said, I don't know what's going on. So I don't know if they're concerned about that. I certainly would be. I think it's a question of, can you win a Stanley Cup with only depth scoring? Maybe they're good enough to.
They are pretty damn good.
They are good.
Does Reinhart seem a little off to you guys? Like, I know Joaquin brought it up earlier. Like, he's just not the same Sam Reinhart.
Quieter?
Being quieter, maybe.
I know Kachuk's. It's obvious he's still hurt.
Yeah.
It's obvious.
And Reinhart missed time in the last series, remember?
That's right.
Against the Canes. So something could still be lingering there. So I think it is a little troublesome for them. Barkov hasn't really got going. I wanted to ask you, the Oilers power play. They have 2 power play goals, 1 in each game?
I think,
1 for 6 last game?
I have it here. Well, I had it here, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
They're 2 for 12 this series. Or no, 1 for 6 and 1 for 4. Was it? Or was it 1 for 2 in game 1?
I don't off the top of my head.
I'll get it. I'll have it here. They have a goal in each game on the power play.
I was just saying, because with the potential loss of Nuge tonight, how does that affect their power play? And Tom, I'll just throw it in there. The question of the day is going to be, if Nuge can't go, who would you, Jolene and Tom, replace Nuge on the power play?
Go ahead, Jolene.
Oh gosh, well, no, for sure. Is he ruled out? I thought
no. Game time
he's
decision.
In the lineup. Okay.
True game time decision.
Oh,
if he
you have to go first. I'm just going to copy whatever you think because you're the expert.
Okay, and I'll clear something up. Through the 2 games, Edmonton's 2 for 6 on the power play. The PK. Oh, wait, sorry. I'm looking at Florida. I'm all discombobulated. My bad. My goodness. Okay, here we go. Edmonton on the power play in this series, 2 for 10. On the PK, it went 1 for 2 and then 3 for 4. So 4 for 6. Okay, so we're talking about. Give me that question of the night.
If Nuge is out,
who do you replace him with on the power play? I would go to Adam Henrique.
Really?
Because I wouldn't. This is here. I'll show my work, as you requested Joaquin to do earlier in the day. If you want to continue to have the same type of setup, on the Oilers power play and have somebody who can, not to the extent of Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, but be similar.
Okay.
I think Adam Henrique is capable of being able to distribute, hang on to the puck, find the right guy to give it to. Let's not kid ourselves. There's only 3 guys he's passing to. 2, really. Bouchard if he needs an outlet, but it's McDavid or Draisaitl. Get it to them, let them do their thing, and then get open if you need to.
Okay, and that's your option A, but plan B, if that doesn't work, who would you go with?
Why do you have to do this to me?
Can you dig
I'll
deep?
throw some names.
Throw some names.
Kane,
I get that, but
Arvidsson,
I don't like
and maybe Jeff Skinner if he draws it.
That's the one I like the least.
Jeff Skinner?
Yeah.
How come? I'm with you, by the way. I'm going to make you show your work.
It's spotty performance. Now, after he did score that goal, when was it? It was
Game
Dallas.
5?
Yeah.
Yes.
I talked to him at media day.
Okay.
And I was like, look, you've shown like what you can do when you get a chance.
Yeah.
Like what does that feel like to be able to come up big in those big moments? And I mean, he did have, right before he answered my question, he had this like big smile, and you could just tell he was so confident. And it seemed to come from that big performance, obviously, that carries over, and it does kind of put you on a high. So I couldn't see a case for maybe he could be the man again, but that'd be my plan C.
Who would you go plan A?
I actually I don't mind Kane. I don't mind Kane. Yeah.
People are talking about adding a shooter mentality, and he could do it. He could be a net front. I get that, but I don't know. To me, I would look at Adam Henrique and be like, you can do a lot of what Ryan Nugent-Hopkins can do. Maybe you're not on the same page, same rhythm with that top unit as Nugent-Hopkins is, obviously, but if you're looking for a similar type player, I think he could fit the bill in a jam like tonight, if that situation arises.
Is there any way, because some listeners suggested, did they go 2 defensemen like they did in the regular season when some of the big boys were out? Is there any way to go Jake Wallman at home with Bouchard instead of the forward? It's an extreme long shot.
You know what? Wallman might not be a bad option.
I don't like long shots at this stage of the game.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Sure shots.
We're not.
long
Yeah,
shots.
we're also like the Oilers are not in a position where they're desperate enough that they have to take a long shot.
To try something completely new.
No,
right?
exactly. Yeah, let's mess with it as little as possible. But speaking of lineup changes, Florida also has the lineup change.
Yes.
So they have AJ Greer returning for the first time in the finals after missing 3 of the last 4 games.
Yep.
And so I think he adds just a little bit of, obviously, depth and physicality to their fourth line.
Did you notice Jesper Boqvist in the first 2 games?
Did you?
I think he streaked in one time and took a shot wide.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, there he is.
He's coming up big. He's
he's there. He's out there, I guess.
Greer will be a lot more noticeable.
Yeah, you think he's going to be in your face kind of thing?
Yeah.
A little smash mouth.
He's got some sandpaper for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think with people starting to tire, so I think my opinion on this series so far is that it's ending up being a war of attrition. So whoever can stay healthiest and recover fastest will have the advantage going into the later parts of the series. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting him coming back after not skating for a bit, and so maybe a bit fresher, and he's so physical. I don't know. We'll see what kind of an impact that has on the game.
In your face.
Yeah.
In your face. All right, so AJ Greer coming in. The Panthers not particularly great on home ice these playoffs. 4-3 is the record, still a winning record, and the power play not converting. What did you say? 3.1%.
Oh yeah, wait, I had that here. It was I think it was like 4%, but it was close enough.
Not good.
3.6. It was 3.6.
3.6%. All right, this is the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show live on location at Boston Pizza Westgate. Tom Gazzola, Jolene Latimer from The Score, and Hernan Salas as we get set to welcome in our game analyst, Matt Kassian. He is standing by. Cass, give me a thumbs up if you're ready to rock. Oh, he is so ready to go. Let's get Cass in here. Yeah, exactly. Cass with Game Changers, brought to you as always by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Damon Bunting, consistent top producing realtor in the greater Edmonton area for over 17 years. He's community driven and understands what it takes to make a difference in our city. Check him out, DamonBunting.com, or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. Cass, are you all good?
Hold on 1 second, Tom.
Oh, hold on 1 second, he says. Let's go to some text while he... Oh, wait.
There we go.
What is that, Miracle? Miracle Cass?
There we go. No, people are asking for the orange hat. They're asking for the orange hat back. On top of the orange hat, that is also
it's a fashion moment.
So.
This is a new profile picture moment right here.
Yeah.
This beautiful, beautiful hat.
We had a few people talk about how I haven't worn it enough recently in the playoffs, and I haven't felt like it. But it was sitting there, so I'm like, I'll throw it on. I will throw it on. But yeah, excited for this one, fellas. Missed you last game. Missed being able to break that one down, but here we are again. Game 3, ready to go.
Cass, before we dive into game changers, how would you answer the question of the night? Throw it out there one more time, Nancy.
Yeah, Cass, if with Nuge being a game time decision here, if he can't go, who would you want in his place on the power play for the Oilers?
Yeah, I probably sliding in with a Skinner, and I know that may not be the most popular pick. I'd probably slide in with a Skinner. I understand he hasn't played a ton. I know he hasn't had all kinds of playoff success from his plethora of playoff experience because he's barely had any, but he is a guy that can score goals. He is a guy that can find a way on the power play to contribute. So I probably lean that way first to say, okay, if we're going to give it a little bit of a different look, if Nuge can't go, I'm probably going to Skinner. Now I lean towards, and we've talked about this before in the playoffs too, I lean towards, if he skated this morning, he's probably going to play tonight, and we'll see what we have. But that, if he can't go, then I would probably start with Jeff Skinner in that spot.
Really quickly, with him skating late in the optional, does that kind of change your opinion? I know you said you think he's going to play, but that's kind of odd, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a little bit odd, but I don't find it compelling, right? Like because why test it for too long? I don't know. It's not compelling to me. It's a little odd. I don't find it absolutely compelling. I do think he's going to play. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe it was just they were giving it the one last hurrah to see if it was going to be close to being okay, and it just wasn't. But it just depends, because it's like you don't want to wear your body down. Like if you got something that's hurt and it's like, okay, I can kind of go out and check to see, but there's no point in being out there for the whole skate, because if he steps on for 2 or 3 minutes and I say, hey, this is okay, and then he gets right off, because you don't want to risk banging it up more. You don't want to skate through a whole skate with it being bothered and annoying and aggravating it. Well, then you're going to get off. And it's kind of the same thing going out at the end. It's like instead of waking up extra early and going on the ice early before everybody, and you can't really anyways because you're on the road, by the way, so you can't do it before the skate, so you're just going to do it a little bit after and check. So it's not, I don't know, I don't find it that crazy.
All right. We thought we'd check with you first. Let's get into game changers with our game analyst, Matt Kassian. Number 1, Cass, turnovers.
The big turnovers have been a big problem, and that kind of ate them alive last game, in my opinion, was they turned over the puck too many times. That crazy Florida pressure on the forecheck that just can get to you, that physicality, that forcing plays up the wall, and way too many times Edmonton's defense pairings just went to the old, I'm just going to pass my problem off to the winger, which is, I'm just going to either soft side or strong side, just rim it up the wall, going to put it up there, throw it out there, hope something happens. And usually nothing good happens. Rim pucks in the defensive zone, no bueno typically, unless the guy has like a plethora of time, which you do not have with the Florida Panthers. So those turnovers to me is just an area, everybody, where they have to clean it up. I thought they were better in game 1 than in game 2 overall, how they played. And I thought such a significant portion of that was that they caved a little bit to the pressure and turned pucks over, particularly in the defensive zone. And then it's not just the defensemen. We could point to the Kapanen turnover as an example of the puck coming right back down your throat into your zone and not having the ability to change and getting tired bodies and then getting scored on. Like, it happened a whole bunch of times. And today, if they want to win, they got to clean up those turnovers.
May I ask you about, I know Kapanen had the one turnover, and that is what led to the sequence of that goal against, but a couple times there, Evan Bouchard, Cass, like I pointed out on the post-game show, it looked like he was starting to backtrack, but I think spatial awareness was a term that was being used earlier. I saw that from a text. It just felt like he was getting caught going the wrong way and allowed a seam for Marchand to break through and get a couple of breakaways. How much of it is on him?
Yeah, well, there was, like on the breakaway in particular, that was a bad read. That was a non-pinch moment. hard for me to really dump a bunch of blame. I mean, he played a lot of minutes at that point. Like there is significant fatigue there for that. But Florida was looking to try to catch Edmonton being a little bit too aggressive offensively. And that is something that they do have to be aware of and that Florida is trying to exploit. So I don't want to pin it too much. I think Evan Bouchard has continued to be really, really good. It was a mistake in that situation. Should have been back a step earlier, and there's a few other things as well. And you do have some pressure on Draisaitl from Draisaitl on Marchand as well. But ideally, he's opening up to the inside in that situation. But ideally, he's already moving that direction because he knows his defense partner is in zone and committed at that point.
Someone just pet me on the back very, very nicely. It's Lieutenant Eric. Yeah. That was so very nice.
Gentle nice pat.
Yeah. Did you see?
Yeah.
Does anyone want to follow up on Cass with turnovers for point number 1?
You know what, Cass? It's interesting because it's been a while since we've seen this team kind of. And again, they weren't terrible, but they showed up with some sloppy play. Like you said, the turnovers, the mishandling of the pucks, the just rims around and hoping your forward can make a play on it, because we haven't seen that probably since game 2 of the LA series. So how much do you put that on to just what Florida brings in the forecheck? Like, because the Oilers have 6 guys that can move the puck. They should be able to work through that, but how much do you put it on Florida's pressure?
Well, you have to attribute a lot of it to Florida's pressure, don't you? I mean, they maybe to 2 things is like you're 90% Florida's pressure and 10% to Edmonton just being a little bit too sloppy, right? Like, because they have to own it. They have to own some of that sloppiness, but Florida does a very good job, and it kind of feeds into that. So I think you got to attribute it to both, really. And if I had to, again, percentage-wise, I'd go 90% Florida, 10% Edmonton. But that 10% is a big 10%. Like that, 10% sloppiness in your fault in the own zone makes for potentially serious issues. And I don't know. I mean, making it sound like they played horrible. I don't think they played horrible. They just, they got caught a couple of times, and a couple of the times it bit them and ended up, taking the game ultimately to overtime and costing them, being up 2 games in the series. Well,
those small details are what's going to make the difference. How much of that sloppiness do you attribute to being tired?
Ooh, that's why we brought you on. You're just smarter than all of us, and you asked the better questions.
Not really. So, it's my job to ask questions. I ask questions.
It may not be saying much. It doesn't take that much to get beyond us, so take it with a grain of salt. But that's a really good question too, because at the end of the day, Florida's just as tired as you are. Right? They're just as tired as you are in that moment, or they should be. And it gets back to what you were talking about earlier about the war of attrition of, as this series goes on, that fatigue and the fatigue from not just this series, but series past, and the bumps and the bruises and all that is going to factor more and more in, because as your body gets tired and your brain gets tired, it does become more difficult to make plays under pressure. It does become more difficult to spin off of a guy and take an explosive step and make a pass in the defensive zone. I don't even know if I have a good answer for you in terms of a percentage if I had to pick, but that's a spot on thought for saying, like, the fatigue factor heading into game 3 and the rest of the series is going to be very, very real and very, very impactful.
All right,
that's what the McFlurries are for.
Is that what they're eating, the McFlurries?
That's what that's been a joke, but they're not.
The Brad Marchand.
But I actually had to confirm that they weren't eating them because I couldn't figure it out myself.
Yeah.
All right, that was point number 1 of Game Changers turnovers. Game Changers point number 2 with our game analyst Matt Kassian. New pairings. All right, Cass, lay it on us.
Well, could get a little bit of a different look potentially, and I'm going to say potentially for the Edmonton Oilers, because we all know Knobloch moves the lines around, and Coffey is not afraid to move pairings around as well. But the biggest switch to me for the Oilers' potential defensive pairings, which we will confirm as the game actually starts, and I wouldn't even confirm in warm-up. You got to worry about how it goes in the actual game. Is Darnell Nurse moving around a little bit, and are we going to see with certainty the Darnell Nurse Evan Bouchard pairing come back? Now, what's interesting about that is Darnell Nurse has been or was for the regular season incredibly steady. fantastic in terms of his consistency. And he struggled a little bit at times with some of that consistency in the playoffs. And last game, maybe more than other games. And in a series where you really want Darnell Nurse to be, I don't want to say he has to be the guy, but you want him to be that physical guy, right? Yeah. The guy that is able to deal with that forecheck. It's able to, counter hit going into the corner that makes life difficult for, the Sam Bennett's of the world in front of the net and the Kachucks and the Marchands and everybody else. So I think that pairing to me in particular, if it does end up being Bouchard and Nurse, which I think it probably will be to start the game, really interesting to see if Evan Bouchard can pull the best out of Darnell Nurse here. If that, his consistency in Evan Bouchard allows Nurse to settle into his game and not play tentative, because I think we've been seeing a little bit of tentativeness to his game.
I don't know. I still think it's a smoke screen. I don't think we're going to see these pairings tonight. Yeah,
it could be. Nothing about that pair, like analytics-wise, whether or not you're into analytics, eye test-wise, that pair does not jive.
Well, I have a question about how often this happens in hockey, because I know it happens a lot in baseball where the manager doesn't want to release the lineup until right before, because it really impacts pitching. For hockey, like, how much of it is gamesmanship where maybe they'll tinker with something in practice just so that no one really knows?
Cass, let's let you answer that one.
I mean, is it all? Can I say all of it? Everything is, whether you're being honest or you're not being honest. It's all gamesmanship, where you want to be honest and straight up, and that's how you're trying to approach it, or not. Hernan, you're right. It could be a smoke screen, and that's why I said it could potentially be. And yes, the analytics for those two have been poor, but at the same time, Evan Bouchard has been playing really, really well. Yeah. And so you're kind of like, okay, are they going to look at this and say, analytics be darned, we're going to actually roll these guys out there? Or as Jolene said, it could be a complete smoke screen, and they're just kind of being like, hey, we're going to make you think this and then change it, which doesn't always make sense to me in hockey, from my standing. Like, now I get for a player being hurt or not hurt, kind of putting up the smoke screen, and maybe he's going to play, maybe he's not going to play. But for like switching up the defensive pairings, I'm like, who are you fooling? Because you're going to see it in about 10 minutes anyways. Like, it's not going to, they're not going to redo their entire game plan on it. Like, you're going to see who you're going to see. So who cares? Like, that's what most teams kind of try to enter into it with. But a lot of people and managers and coaches still like kind of being a little sneaky.
And Arthur on the Nasty Chat says, put Stetchen, take Nurse out. I'm going to tell that's not happening.
It's not going to happen.
No. Nurse is far too important to this team. And again, guys, like, we're acting like, I don't think he's been terrible. He's had some rough moments. No. Like, he's steady Eddie. He's physical. He's out there kind of policing at times. So he's not coming out of the lineup, guys. And I know everybody is happy with Stetch's play, but the sixth best defensemen are playing right now for the Edmonton. Yeah.
You did mention it kind of comes down to analytics versus feel. How much pressure is on coaches these days to go with the analytics, maybe even when they want to go with their gut?
I'm really glad you asked Cass, because he loves analytics.
I love analytics. I love them. It all depends on what kind of pressure we're actually talking about. The external pressure from the media and from fans and from the Twitterverse, or internal pressure from the organization. And different organizations handle it differently. Because I would say, there's a tremendous amount of exterior pressure from the Twitterverse. But the exterior data that we're all using, and that most people analytics-wise on Twitter, and just the common, even us, that we're looking at, is dramatically different than the data that the teams are looking at themselves. And I'm an advocate for analytics, but I'm an advocate for proper analytics, that they have to be done consistently by the same people, reviewing the same people, over and over and over again, and they help us understand what happened, and in some instances why it happened, but they don't always predict what will happen. And that's where the feel comes into it for a coach, because you can have guys with the best analytics in the world, and you roll them out. Let's say you have either a defensive pairing or a forward group. They could have the best analytics all year long, and you roll them out there in the game, and you see as a coach, these guys don't have it tonight. Yeah. You're not going to stick with it, particularly not in the Stanley Cup final. Like, you're going to move it right away. And even for a pairing, let's say, with bad analytics, that maybe had bad analytics, what it helps you do is, as a coach, that says, okay, we're going to try this. We're going to go with Bouchard and Nurse. And if it sucks early on, guess what?
Switch.
we know it still sucks and we're going to get away from it. But if for whatever reason this pulls something out of Darnell Nurse because Evan Bouchard is playing rock solid and he is completely engaged in playoff hockey right now, well then I'm going to go with it and going to try it. So it's such a balance between the two. And I can't stand people that are, I shouldn't say can't stand people. I can't stand the argument that people make that it should be just analytics and just preach analytics over everything. Yeah. It just doesn't make sense to me where it's like, again, it's just so helpful and understanding, but it doesn't predict. And I could go on, Jolene, you could give me for an
let's
hour
talk about, we can have a good chat about this. We'll have a coffee or sometime and we'll go over this.
Yeah, get into it.
Oh my goodness. All right, it is Game Changers with our game analyst, Matt Kassian. Game Changers, as always, brought to you by Damon and Bunting Real Estate. Point number 1 was turnovers. Point number 2, new pairings. And then point number 3, Cass, the huge Nuge.
Yeah, well, we've talked about it a little bit already. Don't know if he's playing or not, but it does have an impact. Again, great question earlier on who do you play on the power play in particular if Nuge cannot go and who's going to eat up some of those minutes. But if we look back at the series, he has been arguably the most consistent Edmonton Oiler forward, where he has found ways in almost all situations to chip in, to produce, to have an impact. And it's almost like an understated impact because it's not like he's, making passes like McDavid made last game, like where he's just stupefying 2 defensemen and then seeming a pass through to the back door to somebody. Like, he's not doing that, but he is finding ways to contribute on an almost nightly basis where he's been so good. So it's hugely impactful. And if you look at it from an Edmonton Oilers standpoint, and to go back again to what Jolene said, which is just so apt of the war of attrition, they're already out Zach Hyman. And now if you take out Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, well, those are 2 top 6 forwards. Like, that is impactful. And I know, yes, Greer's coming back into the lineup for the Panthers, and he probably has much more of an impact in that bottom 6. Like, he's a physical guy that'll mix it up and get involved. But it's a little bit different, having him out of the lineup versus having Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Zach Hyman. So it's hugely important that if he does end up being out, that if it's Skinner that's in, which it probably will be, that he finds a way to contribute as close to as much as Ryan Nugent-Hopkins has, because that potentially just a huge drop in the quality of your top 6 without him being there. And it's next man up, and I get that, and I get where teams talk about that, but if he is out, what a huge blow for the Edmonton Oilers and a very difficult hole to fill.
Yeah, it's enormous. We were talking about the PK, even though I think Jolene said Florida's struggled on the power play, but he's such a big part. He touches every area of the game, power play, the PK, the 5-on-5 play. It's going to be enormous loss. We'll probably find out here in the next 5 minutes or so if he's in or not. So I'll keep tabs on that and let everybody know, but it'd be an enormous loss.
Jolene, do you have anything to follow up with Cass and the Nooch?
No, I think I'm just counting down the minutes until we find out if he's actually in the lineup.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I want to ask Cass about the discrepancy and the disparity between the power play on the road versus at home. Cass, Jolene brought it up when we were talking about the Panthers earlier. At home, their power play is not good. It is at 3.6%, 1 for 28 these playoffs. On the road, 14 for 34, 41.2%. Why?
That's a good question. Here's my theory, and this is completely a theory, so just bear with me. It's a theory. I'm not going to back this up with hard analytics and evidence, which I would like to do, but I'm not going to back it up. I'll take you back to a whole bunch of my years playing pro hockey, both in Minnesota and in Ottawa, where sometimes, for some teams, they seem to struggle at home on the power play and much better on the road on the power play. And the theory that we always have, and this is what we talk about in the dressing rooms, would be that at home, you're trying to make it pretty for your fans. And on the road, you're like, we don't care how this looks. The puck just needs to go in the net. And there could be some truth to that. Now, you'd think it shouldn't be that case, right? Your power play and the execution and what you're trying to do should be the same on the road as it is at home. But for whatever reason, and I don't know if that's like a little mental bug that lives in people's heads, or if it's just the noise or the pressure or what it is, it just seems to be that for some teams, they just struggle. And the flip is true for the penalty kill for some teams, where they're really good at home penalty killing and they struggle on the road. And it's because at home, it's like, well, the fans are there, they're cheering you on. You'll block a shot to the face because everyone's going to yell and cheer and scream for you. But on the road, you're kind of like, there's not going to be as many articles written about this, maybe. Right. I'm not going to get as many mean tweets about it, maybe. And so you're just maybe a little, not again, it's an extreme me saying that, but a little more apprehensive. And then, so if I had a theory, that's probably it. But it is wild that it's like that broad of a disparity, because usually it's a lot closer.
Anybody else have anything for Cass?
Cass, we missed you on Friday night, buddy. As you can imagine, a lot of Stewie Skins texts coming in, so we missed you for sure.
That goal went in, and I was probably disappointed as everybody. And then part of me was like, I didn't have my gear with me, but part of me was like, oh, I should probably just hop on the chat. And I was like, nope. I'm like, I will just get too angry and too quickly, and people are all of a sudden right back to the he can't win a cup, he's the worst goalie in the world sort of thing. When there's multiple whatever. We don't need to get into Hernan. Why are we going this way? It's game 3 tonight.
I know.
They're gonna be good. They're gonna play well. We're good.
I do have one more thing to ask. Is this series is shifting? Well, it's warm here, but it's not hot.
Yeah.
Right? I know they brought in dehumidifiers at the arena, and they're not spraying in the mist like they do when we're in the middle of a season. Cass, where they're going to a warm, humid climate in early to mid-June, does it change much? Does it change and affect the players much? What can you say about that? You've played in hot climates.
Yeah, it certainly can. Well, I can tell you the hot climates I played in, like when I was in the minors in Houston. I mean, you're showing up in flip-flops in February, and it was beautiful. It was great. That being said, you had a corner of the rink, in our practice rink, that we called the death corner, because that's where the Zamboni came out. And if the puck went there, you didn't even try. You didn't try to do any sharp turns in that corner, because you might break an ankle, break a neck, because the ice was too soft. It broke, and it was just absolutely garbage. And it's the same sort of thing. Both teams have to contend with it. Both teams have to deal with it. But it does a couple of things. I mean, your hydration is one, where it can affect your hydration, can affect your cramping, the amount of salt and fluid, sodium, potassium in your body. Ensuring that you are well electrolyted and hydrated is really important in hot climates, because you lose more moisture, right? Like you're going to be sweating outside, in the hotel room, wherever you are, just in the air you're breathing. You need to make sure to maintain your fluid balance. And then beyond that, it's just knowing that the puck probably is going to be a little more bouncy. It's going to be. That means you can't be as fancy. Sometimes, and for example, we talk about turnovers and those soft rims. Well, those soft rims are hard rims to the winger. Those are going to be a little more bouncy, because the ice around the edges in particular, that's what suffers the most. So you just have to be prepared that the ice can do unexpected things from a playing standpoint, and both teams have to deal with it. You just have to deal with it better than the guys across from you.
Very well articulated, Cass. As always, you look great. You sound great. Fantastic edition of Game Changers, brought to you by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Cass, we'll catch up with you on the post-game show, all right?
Sounds good, everyone. Jolene, don't take no crap from those two.
Thank you. I'm trying to keep them in line. Trying to keep them in line.
Doing great.
It's not easy.
Oh, my goodness. All right, Cass, we'll see you on the post-game show.
Sounds good.
All right, there's our game analyst, Matt Kassian, helping us get set for tonight's action with Game Changers. Just to recap, point number 1, turnovers, guys. Point number 2, the new pairings. Point number 3, the huge news. Anything that stood out to you there, Jolene?
Well, there was almost like a fourth point that he was making throughout all of them, which was the importance of location.
Right.
You talked about it with ice. We talked about it with just maybe being under more pressure for a home crowd for Florida.
Yep.
But for Oilers, going back to the very location where they had their worst heartbreak of the season.
Were you there?
No, I wasn't.
Oh, you were not. Okay.
Thankfully, gosh, I wouldn't. That would be too much for me to take. I can't handle the big emotion swings. That's why I like reporting.
Yes.
Because I don't have to be involved in having I don't have any feelings.
Right.
But sometimes the feelings are so big that you can't avoid them, and that would have been one of them.
Yeah.
I'm glad I wasn't there.
All right, so you weren't there. Okay.
For Oilers going back to the scene of the crime, is that a boost or is that baggage for them?
Because they did go back there in the regular season. They lost a close game. You would think, in theory, as big boys, they should be over it. But if anything, try to funnel that feeling and emotion and memory of losing last year in the 7th game there and try to turn that around. And I feel like some of them would try to do that. Not all of them. You know them just as well as I do.
No, I think you still know them. You have a better feel for them than I do. Every time I guess something, I get it wrong.
No.
But I think it is something you could challenge. I think, channel. Sorry, you could channel that sort of anger and angst, you might say, from losing, if they think about it.
Yeah, not again type of mentality. Let's make a difference and make sure we win in this building. We'll see if they can get that done. Nanso, anything when it comes to lineups?
Nothing yet. Probably just hitting the ice in the next couple of minutes here, so we'll find out. He's going to take the warm-up, Skinner as well, so we'll probably have to wait till just before we're off air when you get the email from the team.
Well, that and then line rushes should be an indicator as well for us if Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is going to play. All right, let's get to your game day odds check brought to you by Play Alberta. Gaming made easy anytime, anywhere. With Play Alberta, you've got a full casino experience right at your fingertips. Play from your phone, tablet, or computer, whatever works for you. Download the Play Alberta app today and get started with a $50 casino bonus. Just deposit $20 with promo code EST Casino. Play smart, play local, and remember to use your game sense. On the money line, Edmonton at plus 120, Florida at minus 164. The puck line has Edmonton at minus 227. On Play Alberta, and Florida at plus 140. The over-under set at 6.5 tonight. Has been for the entirety of the series. Over at minus 118. Under at minus 120. What do you guys have for over-under? Are we going to get to that over 6.5? Because we've gotten there twice. Both games
that
over.
Seems high. That seems high.
Yeah, but we had 9 goals the other night. 7 the first game. So the over has hit. Do you think it goes under tonight?
They're going to be more. It's typical. Okay, this is interesting.
I know we're befuddled
because they're two really good teams. They're not making a lot of mistakes, but they're still scoring a lot. So I'm going to go with the over.
Okay, Jolene's going over. You're going.
I'm going to go under this game. I think I've taken the over since we started this Play Alberta. I've always taken the over. I think I'm going to go under today.
Okay.
I have a feeling.
I want to say over because I like goals.
Yes. Yeah.
And we've seen a lot of them so far in this series, but I'm going to go with under. I think a couple of goals in the first period, and then both teams lock it down, and it gets to be something crazy and dramatic is going to happen in the third period. That's what I'm going to say. So under, Jolene
I'm going with the over.
All right, sounds good. Let us know your thoughts. 780-218-9999. Get to the nasty chat. Are you seeing anything on the text line? Or nasty chat?
Let me take a look.
I will get to this one. JCD780 says, what do you mean Jeff Skinner hasn't had success? He's a point-per-game player in the playoffs.
There we go. Justice for Jeff Skinner.
And then Jolene was talking to him, and he was beaming with confidence.
He was beaming. His face lit up, and he has such a big smile.
Yeah, he's in a good
He's
mood.
so positive. That's what I love about him. Because for a guy that was brought here to play in your top 6, play with Leon, things haven't worked out for him. To play the first game of the playoffs and not get in for a long time, I just love the way he handles it, the way he is with the media. Because we brought it up last week with Arvidsson, he was pretty angry, right?
Oh, he was a spicy little Swedish meatball. Do you remember that?
I don't know if I was there.
It was, we went into the room after the, Nugent-Hopkins is on the ice taking warm-up. Let's see if he's taking a regular line rush here. He's just skating around. So we'll see. Jeff Skinner is also out there. They're showing warm-up right now. What do you think?
It's impossible to tell. But I was going to say, so you went into the room after. Was it the loss?
No, this was prior to game 1. You know how they have the podium in the media center? And then they're like, okay, Victor Arvidsson's going to speak after he came off the ice from the practice. And there's a big scrum around him. And he was like this, and he was like angry. And I'm like, wow, this guy's not hiding it at all. He doesn't care if people know he's pissed off or not. And he got back in. I think he's been okay.
Yeah.
But, is he $4 million good? No. He had a tough season, but I did like him being kind of the pissed off little Swedish meatball. Yeah.
Well, we're talking about Jeff Skinner, but it kind of brings me to a question that I've had that I want to ask. Who do you guys think is going to emerge as maybe the surprise factor in this game?
That's so go to you first.
Oh, that's a great question. I want to say Frederick, but I'm not going to go there. I just feel like you need more from him, and I don't think you're going to get it. Someone that you need more from in this series, in this game. Sorry.
Or who might be the surprise factor you're not expecting will change the game, but they could.
You know what? I'm going to go Jolene with Connor Brown.
Okay.
Connor Brown.
I think he's been I think he's been fine, but he hasn't been as good as he was in the other series, and I think he's looking for a big game. He took a penalty last game. He's been kind of off just a tad offensively. So I'm looking for him because when he's on, and he's usually on in the playoffs, the Oilers have success. So I'll go with Connor Brown.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a surprise choice, but I want to know who yours is first.
Okay, this is X Factor. This is somebody who will now start to emerge.
This game, they're due for a big game.
I'm so tempted to say Matthias Janmark.
I wish he would have scored the game-winning goal last game.
And it is kind of an inside joke. I mean, not really an inside joke, but we've made the joke that Janmark's been my guy.
Has he?
Todd Peterson agrees with you. Janmark needs a game.
Okay, let's go with Matthias Janmark. Game 7, the last playoff game that these two teams met in Florida, it was Janmark who scored in that 7th game.
I mean, yeah.
So I'll go, you know what, just out of loyalty to Matthias Janmark, I will go with Matthias Janmark.
I appreciate it.
Do I believe it and think some of it is bull? Yes. But I'll go with Matthias Janmark. All right, Jolene, go ahead.
I'm going to make Oilers fans a little unhappy with this one. I'm going to go with Connor Verhaeghe because he is a game-winning goal master, especially in the playoffs. I don't know if you guys know this, but he has 12 playoff game-winning goals since 2022, including 3 series clinchers. And I actually asked him on Media Day, why are you so good at game-winning goals?
What do you say?
It's just like it's his calling card. He's been doing this since his minor league hockey. He said that there was a game in minor league hockey. It was when he was in Bantam, and it was their championships, and it went into overtime, and he scored the game-winning goal, and ever since then, he's been like the game-winning goal guy.
You get a confidence when the game's on the line.
Yeah.
He's been really good.
And I asked Paul Maurice about this. I was like, why is he so good at game-winning goals?
I love that answer he gave.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
He said that he just needs chaos. He needs a certain amount of chaos, and the playoffs are the time when it's chaotic enough for him.
Yeah.
And that's when he shines.
And I love how he used the term, that's his frequency.
Yes, he did say that.
That was a great answer he gave you. Go ahead, Nanso.
So Nugent-Hopkins is taking line rushes with Connor McDavid and Corey Perry.
He's going to play.
Yeah.
What do we think of that? Him playing. Are we worried? Are we thinking Baby Nuge is going to be okay?
I think he's going to be okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think if they take the warm-up and they say they're good, I mean, why not? You have to trust them, right? It was the same thing with Matthias Ekholm. Everybody wanted him to sit out until the final, but if he was good to go in Game 5 against Dallas, why not? If he says he's good to go, and look at him now, it looks like he hasn't missed a beat. So good news for the Oilers.
What I wouldn't like if I was an Oiler fan, I wouldn't like that it's been so publicized that he's injured.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that gets me a little nervous.
Guess what? Too bad if you're the Oilers. Like, that's why reporters do what reporters do.
Yeah.
That's what information people want. Also, these games, like Play Alberta, there's a lot of money being put into it, and I think there's pressure on teams and leagues.
Good point.
To be a little bit more honest about stuff like that.
Yeah, that is for sure a pet peeve of mine when I highly dislike the very generic upper body or lower body injury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So want me to read the lines?
Let me get the liner for the lineup. Starting lineups brought to you by South Fort Chev. Go see Daniel and his team in the fourth. They'll give you $1,000 extra credit on your trade-in. Drive a little, save a lot at South Fort Chev. See dealer for details. www.southfortchev.com. All right, Hernan, lay it on us.
Yeah, McDavid with Nugent, Perry, Draisaitl between Kapanen and Kane. Your third line is Frederick, Henrique, Brown. And then fourth line, Janmark, Arvidsson, Podkolzin. What did we say when Cass was on? Smokescreen, Ekholm with Bouchard, Nurse with Klinberg, Wallman with Kulak. Stewie Skins in between the pipes.
There we go. Just a little gamesmanship.
Yeah.
Got to hand it to them. You got to find an edge somehow, right?
Right.
Especially in this series when it comes down to the littlest things. Keep people guessing.
Smokescreen.
Yeah.
I got Florida too.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Verhaeghe with Barkov and Reinhardt. Rodriguez, Bennett, Kachuk is your second line. A very good third line. Lundell between Marchand and Luosterainen. Nosek with Gadjevich and Greer. Defensively, Forsling with Ekblad. Mikula with Jones. Schmidt with Kulikov, goalie Bob between the pipes.
All right. That gets us to your starting goalies. Brought to you, as always, of course, by our friends over at South Fort Chev. For the Oilers, 26-year-old Stu Skinner, 7-5 record these playoffs, 261 goals against average, 903 save percentage, 3 shutouts in 12 games in 2025's postseason. Skinner versus the Panthers lifetime in the playoffs, 4-5 record, 250 goals against average, 904 save percentage in those 9 games. And then, like Hernan just alluded to, 36-year-old Sergei Bobrovsky, 13-6 this postseason, 221 goals against average, 913 save percentage, 3 shutouts as well in 19 games in the 2025 Stanley Cup playoffs. Bobrovsky versus Edmonton in the postseason, 5-4 record, 273 GAA, 904 save percentage, 1 shutout in 9 career playoff games versus the Oil. That takes us to Advantage Sport Medicine and Physiotherapy injury report. At Advantage Sport Medicine and Physiotherapy, they'd like to point out that Connor McDavid's got a full team of specialists around him. You have a bag of peas. So get the same locker room approach that's trusted by the best in the game at Advantage Sport Medicine. Book your assessment today at www.advantagesportmed.ca or call 780-460-9977. So Nugent-Hopkins will play. He does not need to be listed on here. He was a game-time decision. Zach Hyman, wrist. Alec Regula, knee, all year long since the Oilers picked him off waivers from the Boston Bruins. And then now with A.J. Greer coming back in, nobody listed as injured for the Florida Panthers. Yeah.
Hey, so I guess half a smoke screen because Echo and Bouchard are together, but Kulak Wallman's new, Nurse Klimberg's new, right? Because it's usually Nurse, Kulak, Wallman, Klimberg.
The big one is
Ekholm.
Or was Ekholm with Bouchard instead of Nurse. Like that. I'm sorry. When the analytics and the eye test are in agreement on something, usually it's pretty true.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't. When they had that there, I'm like, that's ridiculous. That's not gonna hold up. And sure enough, there you go. Ekholm with Bouchard. So there are your starting lineups, brought to you as always by South Fort Chev. All right. I'm going to read a couple of texts, and we have a couple minutes before we wind things down. Tom Gazzola, Jolene Latimer from The Score, and Hernan Salas with you at Boston Pizza Westgate. Great turnout today. Lots of nasties, lots of regulars as well. It's going to be a lot of fun. There you go. Savage has got his hat, big top hat. We got Lieutenant Eric here. He gave me a sensual massage earlier.
It was very gentle and comforting.
Yes,
it looked like a parent-child.
Oh.
Yeah, I was just looking after you.
I was going to say, it was like
I wasn't going sensual with it.
The soft caress of a lovely lady.
But maybe that too.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. Oh, hi, who's that?
Didn't know he was good at giving massages.
He's got very soft hands.
Of course.
Very deceptively soft.
We disagree on everything right now.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, Stu texting in says the Oilers could really use a big game from Frederick. I know he's still nursing an injury, but even a bit of a disturbing would be great. Get inside the mind of their big players. Easier said than done. I know. All right. Final thoughts from you, Nenso.
Yeah, I expect another fantastic game. Can it outdo what we saw in Game 2? Probably. So I'm very excited for this game. I don't know. I'm not going to give a prediction because I don't know. Both the first 2 games have been so damn close. So I think it's going to be another close one. I think it's going to be a little bit lower scoring than the first 2, but I'm just excited. I want to see what happens here. I'm intrigued by the ice. I'm intrigued by special teams, and by Nuge. I'm going to be watching him closely to see if anything's hampering him throughout this game.
All right, Jolene.
I love that almost nobody knows what's going to happen. I think Steve Weiner wrote that this morning. He said there's no underdog in this series, and that's the most exciting thing about watching right now. So I'm just expecting a lot of really good hockey, and I think we're all being treated to maybe one of the best series we will watch in a long, long time. So if you're watching, enjoy it.
Well said, Jolene. Hey, good job on the pregame show. Full show.
Thank you. I made it.
Round of clicks,
I made it.
Round of clicks there. You're going to stick around for the postgame show, too, a little bit?
I'll be here. Yep.
Awesome. We're going to have a great time here at Boston Pizza Westgate. Big thank you to Curtis and Tony and the entire crew. Thank you, Ice Cube, throwing in the round of applause. There's Coob. Coob, you can say hi, too, really quickly if you'd like, because we kind of kept you out of the show. I'm sorry about that, buddy. What do you got for us?
Oh, that's fine. I had nose to the grindstone anyway. I was, getting stuff set from the Reed Wilkins show that just wrapped up before this. But no, I'm excited for the game here tonight. Like, 2 fantastic teams. I think it's going to be another high-scoring game. And as Jolene mentioned, it's weird because they don't make mistakes, either team, really that much. But just those small moments where there's a break in the play they can capitalize on that on either side. So I think the same thing is going to happen here tonight. Goaltenders will play a huge factor in it as well, as it has been the entire series. Well, 2 games thus far. So we're in for a good one tonight.
Nicely done, Coob. Nicely done. Schmokey the Bear gets the last word. Texting this in, Schmokey the Bear. Notice the H emphasis on Schmokey. Says, I'm so not ready for another OT thriller. I might have a stroke if it goes to OT. Deep breaths, Schmokey. Deep breaths. That's going to do it for the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show here at Boston Pizza Westgate. Big thank you to Jolene Latimer from The Score for sticking around for the entirety of the show. She'll be back for the post-game show. For Hernan Salas, Jolene, Ice Cube, Cass, I'm Todd Gazzola. Say thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll see you on the post-game show. Enjoy Game 3.
See ya.
Between the Oilers and the Panthers. Woo.